Joseph TSHOPA 3. Testimony of an ex-Marine Agent 3. This testimony is the third part in a series of 6. Please read the other 5 parts. Beloved, when I slept with a woman and put a snake in her, the snake would destroy the seed of her husband or men who would sleep with her, in order to keep her in infertility. Secondly, this snake was intended to terminate pregnancies and cause miscarriages. Thirdly, this spiritual serpent disrupted the menstrual periods of the woman by making them painful. Finally, the snake could bite or kill babies. There are children born with difficult and unbearable behaviors and attitudes. It is because of the bite of the snake. There are children born with defects because of the venom of the snake. Once I slept with a woman and gave her the seed of the snake, this woman will lose her beauty and freshness. She will feel as if something were moving inside her body, she will be nauseated. Finally, she will be inhabited and influenced by a strong desire to sleep with men, and she will not manage to master this sexual desire. These are the effects and consequences that women and men who carry the snake in them will experience. The seed of the snail. The second seed that I passed on to the women who slept with me was the snail that caused various diseases. There are men and women with various kinds of things and foreign bodies in them. They must be delivered, otherwise, they will continue to suffer. This is a warning to men and women living in fornication. You risk sleeping with a man or a woman whose sexual organ is a snake that will devour and capture your chances, your star, and your wealth. There are men and women whose genital organs are destructive serpents. My third mission was to fight the Church of Jesus Christ and Christians. But that was not an easy task. Therefore, the mermaid insisted that I travel to the world of waters to be armed, so as to be able to fulfill my obligations and tasks effectively. First, we had to go to the cemetery where I had to sleep with a woman who had died several years ago. When the big day came, I undressed and the mermaid held me by the hand. In the blink of an eye, we changed places and landed in the local cemetery. It was midnight and it was very dark. I thought we were alone, but to my greatest surprise, I saw a crowd of people present in the cemetery. There were musical celebrities, politicians, and people we watch on television. We were all naked. Then I noticed lots of luxury cars. So I asked the mermaid who owned these cars. She replied that they belonged to the dead, I mean to the ghosts. The mermaid informed me that every night, when the dead or ghosts leave the world of the cemetery with their luxury car, they will relax in the bars, nightclubs, and sleep with men and women in the hotels. The mermaid told me that the luxury cars I saw were actually coffins. In fact, the ghosts are men who died before their time, since God has determined for each human being the number of years to live on the earth. However, many die prematurely, either their lives are interrupted by witchcraft or by human sacrifice. These people cannot go to Hades. Therefore, they become serving spirits in the service of Satan's kingdom. Many of the beautiful cars we see in the boulevards are coffins, and their drivers are dead people or ghosts who come to earth to relax in bars, nightclubs, and hotels. Some people we see in the street are not normal men, they are ghosts, dead people. Those who have the lifestyle of frequenting nightclubs and sleeping with men are victims of these ghosts. They appear in the evening to disappear in the morning. I was saying that I was in the cemetery at midnight with my wife, the mermaid. There was a crowd of people. These people were ordinary people in search of power, success, and wealth. Each of these had received prescriptions with instructions on what to do. It is not easy to serve Satan, because there are people who had to sleep with buried corpses in our presence. Suddenly, I heard something like a whistle. Then, I saw the crowd forming two lines. The first line was that of men, and the second that of women. We were all standing and naked in these lines. Then I saw a short, humanoid demon stand over a grave in front of the crowd. He had a beard that went down to the ground. I saw this demon hit the grave where he was standing with a whip, and as a result, a woman who died several years ago came out of that grave. She was naked. We were all supposed to sleep with this woman inside her grave, and in turn, the naked women in their line were supposed to sleep with a man who had died several years ago like us, in turn. I was scared to witness this horrific spectacle. Then a man who was a popular musician in our country, whose name I will not mention, said to me, "Joseph, I see that this is your first time of participating in this ritual, but do not worry, everything will be fine." The words of this man reassured me. As I dialogued with this musician, our line was getting shorter as people slept in turn with this ghost woman. But while I was chatting with the musician, I heard a voice in the sky saying, "It's dawn, it's dawn." When this voice sounded in space, there was a rout. Everyone was on the run. In fact, the activities of sorcerers stop when it is morning towards dawn. When the voice said dawn, I saw with my eyes sorcerers who fled with flying speed like missiles. Darkness cannot stand light. I always wondered what happened to the gentleman who was sleeping with the ghost when the voice rang out in space. As I watched these sorcerers fly into space, my wife the mermaid held me by the hand, and in the blink of an eye, we landed at home. Then the mermaid said to me, "Joseph, something is wrong with you, I have taken no one to the cemetery and then brought the person home without completing this ritual." Then one day in the morning, a friend came to inform me that there was mourning in the neighborhood. So I was supposed to attend these funerals. I promised him I would come. As I prepared to attend the funeral, my wife the mermaid proposed to come with me physically. I contested. In fact, every time I walked with her, she was invisible but I could see her. But often, she was in her physical form and people were amazed at her beauty. I did not like her proposal to physically come to the funeral with me. I told her, "You are so pretty that you always attract people's attention because of your beauty." But she pressured me to allow her to come with me physically. So we went to my friend's mourning. In the street people were amazed by her beauty. Then we arrived at the funeral. But something happened there. I had a girlfriend in the past named Catherine. We had already broken this relationship, but when her friends saw me with the mermaid at the funeral, they went to inform Catherine. They told her, "We saw your boyfriend at the funeral with a very beautiful woman." When Catherine learned this, she got angry although my relationship with her was already broken. She rushed to join us at the funeral. Then she assaulted the mermaid. She thought she was dealing with an ordinary human being. She began to insult the mermaid. She threw sand at the mermaid to humiliate her publicly. Her friends tried to beg her but in vain. When we left the funeral, the mermaid was angry and she said to me, "I swear, I'm going to make your former girlfriend pay for the humiliation she gave me." Your former girlfriend? Catherine humiliated me publicly. I am a princess of the royal family. She cannot submit me to this kind of treatment. You must know that your girlfriend's life is over, she will die. When I saw Catherine attack the mermaid, I knew she was going to pay for it with her life, because this mermaid comes from a royal family of the underwater world, so she is very powerful. It was 11 o'clock in the night when I was awakened from my sleep by my mermaid wife. When I woke up, it was as if I was sleeping in the bush, although I had fallen asleep in our house. The house had been transformed. Then I saw the mermaid holding an antique knife with mysterious writings, similar to Egyptian writing. She hit her hand against the wall of the house and a mystic and antique mirror appeared. I saw the pictures of Catherine appear in this magic mirror. She was sleeping in her bed, and then the mermaid started to call her. When she called her name, Catherine began to move, then woke up. I looked at all this in the magic mirror. Then the mermaid took her antique knife and stabbed Catherine to death. Then the blood began to flow, and the mermaid brought something like a calabash. She collected the blood that flowed in this mystic mirror. When this calabash was filled with Catherine's blood, the mermaid drank that blood. Then she passed over the calabash to me and asked me to drink. So I drank the blood of my girlfriend. Then the mermaid said to me, "Your former girlfriend who dared to publicly humiliate me is dead. You will hear the news of her death in the morning." Then the mermaid blew on me and I fell asleep until morning. When I woke up in the morning, a friend came to inform me of Catherine's death. She was bleeding and her heart was open. She was bleeding from the nose and ears. There was blood everywhere in her room. When my friend gave me the news of Catherine's death, the mermaid was standing at my side, but my friend could not see her. Catherine's problem was that she was not born again. She was unprotected and exposed. Mermaids, Catholic priests, and hospitals. A few days later, the mermaid told me that we were going to visit the hospital to see the sick. In fact, Lucifer is very active in hospitals. It is a place of demonic activities. The person in charge of this visit was a Catholic priest. He was doing charity by giving food to people, shoes, and clothes while capturing their souls. Many things happen in the hospital. I would advise women, after giving birth, not to allow doctors to separate them from their baby because they do not know what this doctor is doing with their baby. In this visit to the hospital, the priest was anointing the sick and this resulted in their death, and their stars were stolen. The mermaid captured the souls of the sick who were killed by the priest's rituals. The night before traveling underwater, the mermaid showed me the souls of those captured in the hospital. She was transferring them to the sea kingdom. Children initiated through food. Aside from the fact that the mermaid worked with the Catholic priest to collect souls at the hospital, she also visited children who had just been initiated into witchcraft. In fact, many children contract witchcraft through food. The Kingdom of Darkness worked with sorcerer children who were responsible for distributing witchcraft in schools and their communities. Since most children are introduced to witchcraft by a mystical human meat, they are asked to repay the meat they ate when they were initiated. As a result, they must choose or point at a family member. The work of the mermaid was to gather the souls that the newly initiated children offered as a sacrifice. The capture and the raid of these souls, victims of human sacrifice in hospital, was the work of this mermaid who was my wife. After capturing and raiding these souls, the mermaid took them to the underwater kingdom at night. My new girlfriend. As I said, my mission was to sleep with 10 to 15 women a day. The mermaid was supposed to capture their odors from which she controlled their lives through mystical mirrors. One day I fell in love with a girl although I lived with the mermaid. I wanted to visit my new girlfriend, so I lied to the mermaid that I wanted to visit my parents and I would come back the next day. The mermaid agreed. I did not know she was aware of my relationship. She knew that I had lied to her, but pretended and let me go. Dear friends, once you are controlled by the marine world, you are monitored in a mirror or a magic board. So I went to see my girlfriend. We had sex. At 2 a.m., I noticed water around me on the bed. I did not know that this woman was a witch who used to urinate in bed when she came out of her body for astral travel. I was surprised and disappointed to find that she used to urinate in bed. When I asked her, she denied it. Later in the night, this woman took a devilish and monstrous form to destroy me. She had become like a vampire with long nails and pointed and sharp teeth. She began to walk towards me to devour me. It was then that a violent and powerful wind began to blow in the room. It was the arrival of my mermaid wife. She landed in this room in the blink of an eye, precisely between me and the vampire witch like a missile. The mermaid questioned the witch and asked, "What are you trying to do to my husband?" Then my mermaid wife and the witch began to quarrel, and what followed was a trial and a test of power between the mermaid and this vampire. The witch was neutralized by the mermaid, which was too powerful for her. Then the mermaid ordered this witch to kneel. But the witch, who looked like a thief surprised in action, was filled with shame. She wanted to give the mermaid the cold shoulder. Then the mermaid said to her, "If you do not kneel now, I'll kill you." But the witch pretended to ignore the mermaid. Then the mermaid repeated her command, "For the last time I order you, kneel or you die." The mermaid was about to kill this witch when suddenly she received a call from the underwater world. She was instructed not to kill the witch because she was an agent on a mission. So I heard the mermaid say to this witch, "You're lucky, I've just been informed by the headquarter that you're on assignment, otherwise I would have killed you." Beloved, let me tell you that the kingdom of Lucifer is not divided. They coordinate what happens between their agents and workers. The Bible says, every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? Matthew 12:25-26. After this communication, the mermaid ordered the witch to return to her normal human form. I saw the witch leave her monstrous form of a vampire and resume the human form, and the mermaid drove her away. So I opened the door and the witch went out. My journey to the mysterious civilization under the SEA. After failing in this mission of killing this Christian lady, I returned with the mermaid to the hotel where we lived. The mermaid said to me, "Joseph, you are failing in almost all the missions we entrust to you. So my father decided that we should travel to our world under the sea so that you can learn and be equipped. There is a high-ranking witch in the suburbs of the city. She is responsible for a demon snake. We are going to visit her. You will be swallowed by this snake that will vomit you under the sea in our submarine kingdom." Beloved, like the story of Jonah, a snake swallowed me for 3 days to throw me into the underwater realm. So I had to travel in the underwater world to be equipped and become efficient and powerful. The mermaid said to me, "Normally we should have destroyed the Christian lady the other day because she was a strategic target. This failure is unacceptable." Dear Christians, when the day I had to travel under the sea came, the mermaid said to me, "Joseph, it is noon. You must know that midday and midnight are strategic and operational hours for us. It is at midday and midnight that we intensify our activities on Earth. We pour blood at noon, we cause traffic accidents at noon, and we travel under the sea at noon." Then the mermaid said to me, "Joseph, it is noon, you must undress, since we have to travel. Our journey will be different from that of ordinary men, we would travel by teleportation." After undressing as instructed by the mermaid, she held my hand and told me to close my eyes. In a fraction of a second, we changed location and landed in a bush at the residence of a high-ranking witch in the suburbs of the city. The mermaid and this witch instructed me to enter a barrel in which there was water. They told me that there was a huge snake inside, although I could not see it. When I put my feet in this barrel, I was paralyzed. Immediately I found myself in a large compartment. I did not know where I was. There was a door behind me, then I saw a boa, a huge, massive snake. Its dimension and size were mythical. In reality, this snake was a demon. It was heading towards me with great speed to swallow me. This demonic snake was so big that I was paralyzed by fear and I was trembling. But something happened when it was about to swallow me to vomit me into the underwater world. I noticed that this snake was opposed by a force that prevented it from swallowing me. He was trying to swallow me but he could not. So he got angry and rolled over my body, then started talking to me and asked me, "Who are you?" I was silent and surprised by what was happening to me. The snake asked me 3 times, "Who are you?" It was angry, so it hit me with its head. And instantly I found myself in the barrel filled with water on the earth. I understood that the Lord controlled everything that happened to me. And He was the one who kept the monster from swallowing me up. This operation with the mermaid and this high ranking, which was a failure. But the mermaid was nonetheless determined to transport me to the underwater realm. Several days later, it was Wednesday at 3 a.m. She asked me to undress, then she held me by the hand. And in a split of a second, we landed on the bank of the Congo River. It was 3 a.m. in the morning, it was still dark, but I could recognize the place. After landing at the edge of the Congo River, I noticed that I was not alone. I was surprised to find that there were many naked people like me at this time of the night. There were men, women, and teenagers, all naked by the river. We were each given a garment. I would like to emphasize that in the world of darkness women are more powerful than men. I knew very well where we were, although it was very dark, and I knew that the waterway was not navigable at this place. Then I was surprised when the mermaid informed me that a boat was supposed to emerge here and transport us to the underwater civilization. A few minutes later, we heard the sound of a ship. My eyes were open and curious. Then I saw a massive ship much larger than the Titanic and more beautiful than the boats we have on the earth. Grace be with you all who have Jesus Christ as Master. Continue in Part 4.